unemployment rate at the peak of the Great Recession and almost 8% higher than the national jobless rate in May. Michigan's labor force.
This is the L2C Media Network on YouTube. Aren't you glad you're here? And this is the L2C Final, the Wednesday Dyn-O-Mite. Oh, I love saying that edition. And here he is, the day with the day in sports. The Baxman, Steve Bexley. Yes, hello, how are you? Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Moonlight.
This is Weather First from Storm Tracker 6, sponsored by Auto
There we go.
Insurance.
Good evening, Moonlight. One day we'll have better lighting. The world says, oy vey. Oh, la, la, la. Anyway, welcome one and all to the Corsican Ball. Sorry if my hair looks a little damp. It's been a wild morning, wild afternoon, wild day, and this is the best I can do. But wow, I don't know what it is like in your neck of the woods, but in our little corner of Michigan, there has been crowds, and it's not for a movie or anything. It's for bottle returns, beauty parlors, barber shops, ice cream places. I mean, you name it. It's getting crowded out there, kids, but we have each other. And isn't that what's worth it? The more you know. Okay, well, the more you know, the more we got to do it. Let's get you with the latest in sports news, views, tudes, and twads. Are we ready? Okay. Yeah, we ready? Yes. Okay, folks, let's dilly and dally and dally and dilly on. That's right. Okay. Let's get you some college basketball news. Hi there. Didn't know we had to do this. Now we do. Former Purdue guard Nigel Eastern, who announced in May that he was transferring to Michigan, will not be heading to play for the Wolverines after all. On Wednesday, Eastern revealed in a Twitter post that his recruitment would be opening back up after he was denied admission into the school. Quote, I was not admitted to the university because of many credits that weren't transferable because of my major, Eastern wrote in the message posted to Twitter. The former top 100 prospect has one season of collegiate eligibility remaining after playing a key role for the Boilermakers over the past 3 seasons. Eastern averaged 4.9 points and 2.7 assists on 42% shooting as a junior last season after averaging 7.5 points and 2.5 assists on 49.5% shooting as a sophomore. Now, Eastern is not a graduate transfer, meaning he would need a waiver in order to play immediately at a new school. Though he regressed as a junior, Eastern would have been a nice addition for a Wolverine program, which has recruited several transfers under coach Juwan Howard. Not bad. They could have had him. Man. The Wolverines are waiting to hear if Wake Forest transfer Chaundi Brown, also a guard, will be eligible next season. Columbia graduate transfer Mike Smith will be eligible immediately after averaging 0.8 points per game in the Ivy League last season. Eastern thanked Howard for taking a chance on him and expressed in his message on Monday that the issue with his academic credit process as a transfer. I want to thank Michigan, the entire staff and organization for trying to do everything in their power to get me into the UOM. So, there you go on that melange. Now, you're probably asking yourself, hey, do you have the latest on the NBA? Da, 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 da. Hey. Well, we do, by golly, have a little bit for you on the NBA. Would you like to hear about it? I'm glad you would, because if you didn't want to hear about it, we wouldn't have a good show then, would we? Hey, got to get a crowd as best as we can here on this program, so let's get to it. Now, hi there. Now, the first step for the NBA in resuming the 2019-2020 season was figuring out a schedule and a format. They settled on inviting 22 teams to Orlando and having all of them play 8 seeding games before beginning the playoffs. If necessary, there will be a mini play-in tournament for the 8th seed in each conference. But other than that, the postseason will proceed as normal.
The U.S. Justice Department is seeking an emergency order to block the publication.
That depends on your definition of the word normal. With the key dates and setup outlined, the league could then move on to sorting out all the details and logistics. It's at this point they started to receive some pushback from the players, with concerns raging for their playing. About the quarantine accommodations, what do they expect? The Radisson? They'll be lucky if they get the Holiday Inn Express. Now, because of the various worries from players and staff, as well as an acknowledgement that they cannot guarantee everyone's safety, the league has made it clear that no players are required to come to Orlando. If they do want to play, though, they will be subject to the stringent testing protocols and health guidelines. Now, our good friends at CBS Sports has obtained the league's 113-page health and safety document sent to all teams, and here's what they know, here's what you know, here's what we know. The league has broken its return to play schedule down into 6 phases. Part 1, which is already underway. There are different rules and allowances for all members of the organization depending on the phase and situation. A closer look. Let's get going. Phase 1, June 12th to the 22nd. During this stage, players are to return to their home market by no later than the 22nd. Team facilities may be open for voluntary individual workouts, but no team or group activities are allowed. Now, players should use this time to fill out a health questionnaire and are expected to quarantine at home, except for going to the facility or other essential services. Phase 2, June 23rd to the 30th. The same rules regarding workouts and quarantine from Phase 1 are still in place. It is at this point the teams will begin testing players and staff for COVID-19. Furthermore, teams are required to hold an educational session about the virus and these guidelines for player staff. Phase 3, July 1st through July 9th to 11th. You ready for this? By July, workouts for players will now be mandatory, though no group or team activities are allowed yet. Players and staff are expected to continue following quarantining rules and regular COVID-19 tests continue. Now, during this phase, teams will confirm their traveling party and make their way to Orlando either by bus or chartered plane between July 7th and July 9th. All members of the traveling party must complete a form certifying they abided by the pre-Orlando rules and will continue to follow the guidelines once arriving on campus. Upon getting to Orlando, players must self-isolate themselves in their hotel rooms until they return 2 negative COVID-19 tests at least 24 hours apart. Now, Phase 4, July 9th through the 11th, and July 9th through 11th through July 21st. And the 4th phase of this process, group and team activities and practices will now be allowed. As with the pre-Orlando guidelines, players and staff will continue to be regularly tested for COVID-19. During meals or social activities, players and staff are only to congregate with people staying in the same hotel. However, if they wish to eat a meal with someone from another team, that must be done outside, and social gatherings are to take place in designated areas. No players allowed to be in another player's hotel room. Wow.
If you need guidance on your money right now, talk to Huntington.
Phase 5, July 22nd through the 29th. Along with continuing practices and group workouts, teams will begin playing scrimmages against opposing teams in Phase 5. Each team will play 3 scrimmages during this portion of the plan. As always, everyone will be subject to the regular COVID-19 testing. Once scrimmages begin, players and staff will be allowed to congregate with anyone on campus, regardless of which hotel they are staying at. Still, any meal eaten with a player on a different team should be done outside. Now, Phase 6, which is called the restart phase, July 30th to the end of the season. Regular season games will begin on July 30th. All rules from Phase 5 will remain in place. In addition, any player that chooses to leave the campus at any point will be required to go through an additional testing and quarantine period. Now, COVID-19 testing. Now, as expected, the league is implementing stringent testing rules. Beginning with Phase 2, which starts on June 23rd, players and staff will undergo regular COVID-19 testing. To start, that will include a PCR test, the typical throat or nasal swab, along with an antibody test. All subsequent testing will be a PCR test unless otherwise necessitated. Now, during the pre-Orlando phases, household members living with players will also be able to get tested. Upon arrival in Orlando, players and staff will need to self-isolate in their rooms until they return 2 negative tests at least 24 hours apart. Everyone staying on campus in Orlando, including league staff, broadcast and game day operations staff, and select media members, will also be subject to regular COVID-19 testing. However, auxiliary workers not staying on campus will not undergo this testing. Another interesting note is that the league will be working with Yale University to help facilitate a study on saliva testing. Players will not be required to participate, but if they are interested, can provide a saliva sample that will be used to help create a quicker, more non-invasive testing procedure. Now, on-court safety measures. In order to minimize the risk of anyone catching the coronavirus, the league is implementing a number of safety measures that will require extra care and attention from staff and players. A quick rundown follows. All basketballs will need to be disinfected by staff prior to use in workouts, practices, and games. It's not just as simple as wiping it down either. The league has outlined a 5-step process as well as instructions on how to create a cleaning solution. First, staff must create a mixture using a 1/4 teaspoon of dish detergent per gallon of water. They are then instructed to use a clean towel to wipe off the basketball with that product. After that, they are supposed to wipe down the basketball with water only, then set it aside to air dry. Once the basketball is dry, it should then be sprayed with a certified no in the time of coronavirus. As such, the league is mandating players to alter their behavior on the court. Licking your fingers, spitting, and clearing your nose are all prohibited during games and practices. Mouth guards should be removed sparingly, and players are no longer allowed to swap jerseys after games. Masks. Players will obviously not be wearing masks during games, and neither will referees. The PA announcer and statistician will also not wear them, and coaches will have the option, though it's suggested they do. Everyone else on site games, however, will be required to wear a mask, including coaches on the second row of the bench, workers at the score table, and any other game day staff. Kevin Harlan wearing a mask. That'll be something to see. Charles Barkley wearing a mask. Another tool the league will try to use and keep players healthy is technology. First off, everyone on campus will be required to wear magic bands, which are bracelets not only serve as hotel room keys, but will allow wearers to pass through security checkpoints and check in for medical testing. In addition, there are optional gadgets that players can wear for further monitoring. One device is a proximity alarm, which will go off if a wearer is within 6 feet of another person for more than 5 seconds. Team and league staff will be required to use one of the alarms, while they will be optional for players. The alarms will not collect GPS locations or other data about personal movement. Now, another high-tech tool the league is making available to players is a biometric ring, which can record vital signs such as heart rate, respiratory rate, and body temperature. Almost said bloody temperature. Body temperature. In theory, that data could help alert teams if a player is at risk to contract COVID-19 or could already have it. Now, just like the league is implementing new rules and guidelines for actions on the court, off the court, there's even more. The league is very clear that players should not under any circumstances go into another player's hotel room. Even a teammate or someone in their organization is forbidden. Whenever possible, players should congregate and socialize outside. To help facilitate this, the league is setting up awnings and tents in outdoor areas that can protect them from the elements. There will also be many activities for players, including golf, swimming, and lawn games. While players will be able to interact with each other once Phase 5 begins, they are still required to adhere to social distancing guidelines when possible, whether that's in the video game lounge, eating meals, hanging out at the pool, etc. Even doubles ping pong has been banned, which shows just how much detail the league put into these guidelines. Salute. When socializing, the league has mandated that players use their own materials. That means no sharing pool noodles. Not sure that's really going to be a big issue with NBA players. Video game headsets and or controllers, golf clubs, and even read materials. In terms of playing cards, decks are to be discarded. At the end of every game, the league has guaranteed sufficient packs of cards will be available throughout the process. Now, how about food? Yeah, how about food? How about that nice din? Well, here we go. Another big aspect of this bubble is the food situation. Everyone is particular about what they eat, but professional athletes are at a different level when it comes to nutrition. In what should come as a little surprise, players and staff members are not allowed to share food on campus and are asked to wash their hands before and after eating. And here's some other guidelines regarding food. You're gonna love it? Here we go. Until Phase 5 begins, players are only to eat meals with other players or staff residing in their hotel. Once Phase 5 starts on July 22, they will then be allowed to eat with anyone on campus. However, even at that point, there are still some guidelines. If eating inside, they are to sit 6 feet apart. And if eating with someone from a different hotel, that meal must take place outside. Now, each NBA team will be given a designated Disney meal team. That group will help design and create individual menus for teams that help facilitate any specific dietary needs. All teams will also have their own meal room, which will be open 24/7 for players to pick up meals as well as snacks and bottled beverages. Now, if you ready? I know I have. The NBA and Disney are working to open some restaurants on campus at a limited capacity, but full details have yet to be found out on that front. As for delivery, it'll be allowed under at least Phase 6 restart phase, possibly longer. Though under strict rules, the player chef preparing the food outside of campus must certify that they are only engaged in essential activities and are following FDA guidelines and provide detailed information about their food prep and delivery process. Even then, the delivered food containers must be sanitized by a staff member. In short, food may be delivered, but it's not delivery in the sense that regular people would understand it, nor will it be DiGiorno. Now, whenever possible, bottled beverages during practices and games should be labeled for individual use. Single-use food and drink items will be available for players in an open space, and those are the rules to which They will prevail, kiddies. Yes. And while we get this opportunity, that's right, while we have this little opportunity, let's take a little light moment and let you know that tonight on Lost Explaining the Interwebs, you're going to love this. On Lost Explaining the Interwebs, sweet mystery. Salute.
Every act, every gesture counts right now. Together, it all makes a difference.
Tonight, Rakita Law. It's a Wednesday.
Which is why Blue Cross will remain committed to you, ensuring you can get the care
and you know Wednesday is going to be superfluous.
You'll have access wherever and whenever
But
you need it.
are you ready
Blue
for
Cross will
this?
stay by your side for whatever comes next.
When the Spanish flu pandemic struck in 1918,
I don't think there's going to be a show tonight or a stream tonight.
We want to welcome you back to Mix Furniture, as we're now open for business by appointment.
Because of
Tons of recliners, capital
little
beds,
business that has to happen. Ooh.
generations of customers are
Excuse
coming
me
to
more.
enjoy Mix Relax Furniture by experience. We hope you will too. When you
But
come to Mix
tonight,
Furniture,
after
the big store in Newtown, Sunday.
Conversations by Proxy Part 2, I think they needed a little time to cleanse. So there's no there's no live stream tonight per se. So if you will, and I know you will, please join Nick tomorrow. Or no, that's tonight. Yeah, tonight. Rakela, they got it. They got it. Good show tonight. Spectre 06 will join to discuss Justina Pelater. That will be coming up on the Rakela Law channel on YouTube. Lost Explaining the Interwebs. So stay tuned for that. Okay, and let that disappear for you for a moment. And hi. Okay, so remember, Rakita is on tonight. It's not bad, but it's going to be good. Mom, I'm doing a live stream right now. Thank you. That's right. You're just talking. That's all. Okay, folks, let's get back to the action as it happens. Of course, 11:33, which means right now, what? Simple. We are at the 23-minute mark of our stream, and we welcome you, as we always do, to our little show of shows. My apologies if I'm seen drinking a little water, but like I said, it's been a long day, and long days get longer, and tomorrow I'm hoping it's going to be an easy day. And I thank you all out there in televideo land for joining me here on this broadcast. And don't worry, this is a work in progress. Before too long, we'll have some semblance of a studio and an actual looking set. So there you go. Okay, coming up, you want to know if we got baseball? So do I. You want to find out? Then let's find out. Let's get you over to Le Baseball and tell you that right now, folks, right now, kids, oh, you're going to love this. Major League Baseball, our report is coming up. Here we have, big old fun here. Major League Baseball updates offer to players. Does this mean a deal is near? Amid a labor standoff that threatens the 2020 Major League Baseball season, which has been put on hold by COVID-19, Wednesday saw significant progress towards a potential deal that would clear the way for that season, the 2020 season, to be played. Commissioner Rob Manfred met with Players Association head Tony Clark early this week, and Manfred released a statement saying the sides had, quote, jointly developed framework for a season, end quote. And Major League Baseball has put a new season proposal on the table. Some of the details have started to leak out through media reports, and here are the key takeaways. Manfred and Clark met face-to-face in Phoenix at Manfred's request. Owners have reportedly made a new proposal to the players pursuant to that meeting. In that new proposal, owners have reportedly agreed to pay players their prorated salaries, which has been a major sticking point in all this. Players may have agreed to not file any grievance against Major League Baseball, which had been a major sticking point for the other side. Now, the proposal also reportedly includes an expansion of the players from 10 teams to 16 for 2020 and 2021. Major League Baseball Players Association has stated that no agreement has yet been reached. After what seemed to be an intractable all right. More. The proposal already reportedly includes an expansion of the playoffs from 10 teams to 16 for 2020 and 2021. MLBPA has stated that no agreement has yet been reached, and after what seemed to be an intractable standoff, Manfred and Clark had a productive two-face meeting. Quote by the commish. At my request, Tony Clark and I met for several hours yesterday in Phoenix. We left that meeting with a jointly developed framework that we agreed could form the basis of an agreement and subject to conversations with our respective constituents. I summarized that framework numerous times in a meeting and sent Tony a written summary today. Consistent with our conversations yesterday, I'm encouraging the clubs to move forward, and I trust Tony is doing the same. Now, following this meeting, Major League Baseball presented players with a revised proposal to begin the 2020 season. Now, per multiple reports, according to MLB Network's John Heyman, owners in the last proposal have agreed to pay players their full prorated salaries and ask that the union agrees not to file any grievance in relation to that deal. If the grievance issue has indeed been shelved and owners have indeed agreed to honor the March accord in which players agreed to prorate their 2020 salaries, guess what? Based on number of regular season games played, then those two are the two major hurdles eliminated. As such, it seems likely that players and owners will arrive at a negotiated settlement to start the 2020 season. CBS Sports HQ analyst Jim Bowden reported that the league's proposal is for a season of 60-something games. The Athletics' Ken Rosenthal, meanwhile, said Major League Baseball's latest proposal would start on July 19th, 2020. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. There you go. God, excuse me. Okay. Likely, players would press to increase the number of games played since the owners in this agreement are getting significant givebacks, i.e. the expanded postseason, waiving of the grievance. The expansion of the players was also another ownership priority. Here we are. So, likely players were pressed to increase. Oh, I think I've already read that one. No, I'll do it again. Likely, players were pressed to increase the number of games played since the owners in this agreement are getting givebacks, i.e., the expanded postseason, waiving of the grievance. The expansion of the playoffs was also another ownership priority, albeit one that required approval from the players. The players seem poised to approve the growth from 10 playoff to 16 for the next there we are. I gotta lower this boom here. There we go. Now, the players seem poised to approve the growth from 10 playoff teams to 16 for next 2 seasons. And that, of course, increases the likelihood that the expanded playoff structure will be adopted permanently in the next CBA. This reported offer marks the first real movement on the part of ownership, and as such, it's cause for renewed optimism. Largely, the dispute has been over the matter of player compensation for 2020. The dispute is entirely one of ownership choosing. As noted, the two sides came to an agreement on prorated salaries, and in that same agreement, players consented to allow Manfred to implement. There we go. Now, at some point, however, owners decided they didn't want to abide by the agreement, and instead that players agree to. All right. Insisted that players agree to the additional salary reductions over and above the prorated structure to which they agreed, citing that most games will likely be played in front of empty stadiums. Players in turn refused on the grounds that the salary for 2020 was already a sister matter. All right. Since owners' prior proposals all sought to cut salaries to a very similar extent, the players announced negotiations were over and that Manfred was free to implement a season structure per the March agreement. Tell us when and where has been the rallying cry for players. Now, given that Manfred previously guaranteed with 100%, certainly that was pretty damn good. Anyway, man, I haven't even taken my medicine yet, and already I'm getting a little sleepy poo. Okay, let's keep this going. We only got to about 11:50 Eastern, so let's. These reports, though, suggest that further negotiations have taken place and are bearing more fruit than ever. Suffice to say, it is in the interest of all vested parties to make a season of some kind happen, or they're going to lose more than their status. That is for sure. Yes, it is. Excuse me. Okay, time now in this little cherished space of ours. I'm trying to figure out what we should do. Oh yeah, we're going to scoreboard. Thank you. The voices in my head have finally come out to play. So let's get to scoreboard, and let's give you all the scores from the games played this evening. Damn. Okay, we're gonna make this the end them all here. I know we got some late sports items. We're gonna give those to Bobby Strauss. Right now, let's take you to baseball first in South Korea. The Korean baseball organization, Samsung Tigres or Samsung Lions over the Doosan Bears, 6-3, 6-10-0 for the Lions. Hi, how are you? Oh boy. Okay, wow. Okay, there we are. There we go. Soccer. England Premier League, which returned empty stadiums but filled with heart. Aston Villa and Sheffield United tied at 0. Manchester City over Arsenal 3-0. In the German Bundesliga, okay. In Germany, Eintracht Frankfurt defeated Schalke 2-1. Hoffenheim over Augsburg 3-1. Bayer Leverkusen over FC Köln. Anyway. Eintracht Frankfurt, Hoffenheim beat Augsburg 3-1. Bayer Leverkusen defeated FC Köln 3-1. Mainz over Dortmund 2-0. And RP Leipzig and Dusseldorf tied at 2. In the La Liga in Spain, Eibar and Athletic Bilbao came in as 1-1. Oh boy. Okay. If you want more scores, because I am literally about ready to fall asleep. I've already fallen asleep twice, so we're going to go directly to board.com and you will find everything at your heart's content. Right now I'm trying to stay awake and it doesn't seem to be working, so here we go. 7. Let's with it. Hi, Dwight Duhan, Roman Ronan, Michael Pickrell. We also say hi. How's it going? Okay, let's get to it. Here we go. We're going to do this once and then we'll get everything done with the shout outs. And we will then beat a hasty retreat. And trust me, we do need to beat a hasty retreat. Hey to Tyke Prado, to Ricky Pickrell, Michael Pickrell, Tony Pickrell, Yvonne Pickrell, to Angela Peterson, Christina Peterson, Anne-Marie Mann, Yuki Tanaka, Jay the Brain Man, Matthew Nichols, Jerry Nichols, Nancy Nichols, January J. Keaton. We also say hi to Carol, to Claudia Treos, Audrey Dogman, the enchanting one, the Sparkfire, the Spark Plug herself, Miss Alex Sims and Nick Mantis. Brenda Dixon. Who else? Samantha Phillips, Samantha O'Neill, Casey Ann, Monica Cram, Gary Cram, Richard Vermeulen. Okay, we're going to say hi to everybody from... and folks, believe it or not, that is going to wrap things up for us here tonight. want to say we thank you. And for everybody here, may all your favorite teams be winners. Good night, America. Sleep tight. That's what I plan on doing. This has been a presentation of Mystifying Creativity Productions for the L2C Media Network and L2C Sports, and for everyone here at the Sports Final and at L2C Sports. I'm Steve the Backsman Backsleeve. We will do better tomorrow. God forbid. Let's get this right. Good night, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Same time, same place.